This is Greg Penglis for Action Radio with Founding Moments, insights into our founding documents, sponsored by Santa Rosa Volunteers, here in Santa Rosa County, Florida. Santa Rosa Volunteers is available at their website, SRV1776.com. That's SRV1776.com. Anti-Federalist Paper number 3. As has been the pattern, the Anti-Federalist Paper is a response and argument against the corresponding number Federalist Paper. This one is no exception, with a blistering attack on the elitism and false premises leading to the incorrect conclusions, which was so evident and prevalent in Federalist Paper number 3, written by future Supreme Court Chief Justice John Jay. No one knows who wrote Anti-Federalist number 3, as it was signed A. Farmer, which is the founder's equivalent of John Q. Public. This paper was published March 7, 1788. The first question asked is the theme for the whole paper. No wasted time or fluff in this paper. Here's the question: whether any form of national government is preferable for the Americans to a league or confederacy is a previous question we must first make up our minds upon. He talks like Yoda. That was the question for all of the Federalists and Anti-Federalists: either a national government under a constitution or a league or confederacy under the possibly modified Articles of Confederation. Whereas Federalist number 3 talked about the happiness of the people coming from being firmly united under a national government of those who know best for the people, in other words, government by force with another name, Anti-Federalist number 3 makes a very interesting and unusual observation for a founding document. A. Farmer said, "I have either read or heard this truth, which the Americans should never forget, that the silence of historians is the surest record of the happiness of a people. The Swiss have been 400 years the envy of mankind, and there is yet scarcely any history of their nation. What is history but a disgusting and painful detail of the butcheries of conquerors and the woeful calamities of the conquered?" This is the first reference I've seen in our founding documents to Switzerland as a model for us. Those last two things, conquerors and the conquered, go right back to origins in elites over the people, a national government over a confederation of the states. In other words, top-down government versus sideways independent government. Attacking again the overt controlling themes of Federalist number 3 comes this line: "Where the people are free, there can be no great contrast or distinction among honest citizens in or out of office. In proportion as the people lose their freedom, every gradation of distinction between the governors and the governed obtains, until the former become masters and the latter become slaves." Or, as we might say today, the greater and more levels of bureaucracy, the further removed and accountable to the people, the greater and closer the absolute rule over the people by the bureaucracy. And that is exactly where we are headed today, as we are ruled by, quote, big government health through the CDC, which I call the Center for Direct Control. A. Farmer also says that the people are not at present disposed for and are actually incapable of governments of simplicity and equal rights. I can no longer doubt. Well, that's interesting. Where's the faith in we the people to self-govern? This author, like the founders, realized that if left purely on their own, the people would vote for their own self-destruction through selfishness and voting themselves other people's stuff, property, and rights. That's why democracies never work, and the founders knew it. So there is no pure system of self-government because self-interest makes it impossible. Then A. Farmer answers his own question, how this happened, by saying, "of the people." But whose fault is it? We make them bad by bad governments, and then abuse and despise them for being so. Our people are capable of being made anything that human nature was or is capable of if we would only have a little patience and give them good and wholesome institutions. But I see none such and very little prospect of such. So today we might say that the potential of the American people is unlimited, but that the people will never be able to live up to their potential under bad government, which is incapable of creating the good and wholesome institutions required for good government. I hate to quote a movie character, namely in First Night, where Sean Connery says, "There are laws that enslave men, and there are laws that set them free." However, it's right on. Anti-Federalist number 3 hates the authoritarianism of Federalist number 3, and the arrogance that if only the right and good people are asked to serve, then everything will be okay. A. Farmer also recognizes that the people will happily give away their freedom until they find themselves slaves. So what are the laws and institutions that set men free? What good and wholesome institutions would be created for that purpose? A. Farmer doesn't have an answer to those questions, but he does know the answer is not the Constitution and the national top-down government proposed by the Federalists. So the question I think A. Farmer is asking is, how little government can we establish that will preserve the freedom, remain stable in size and scope, and not advance toward the usual enslavement? That question has still not been answered in all of human history. So let me conclude Anti-Federalist number 3 with a warning left by A. Farmer. If the body of the people will not govern themselves, and govern themselves well too, the consequence is unavoidable. A few will and must govern them. Then it is that government becomes truly a government by force only, where men relinquish part of their natural rights to secure the rest, instead of a nation of will and force to protect all their natural rights, which ought to be the foundation of every rightful social compact. I believe we can establish the government of freedom envisioned by the Anti-Federalists. That's why I created Action Radio. But I also believe that the current government of force will not willingly release their power and privilege. No government does. But no modern nation has ever had a movement of the people writing the laws they consent to be governed by to create the laws that set all people free. That is my quest with Action Radio and our citizen legislature. That is the grand experiment we have joined and the revolution which we have started. Let us look to our founding for brilliance and inspiration and move boldly forward with courage and boundless optimism to where we should have been if the social compact described by A. Farmer became a reality. The source for the Federalist Papers is federalistpapers.org. The Anti-Federalist Papers are from selfeducatedamerican.com. This is Greg Penglis for Action Radio with Founding Moments, sponsored by Santa Rosa Volunteers. Their website is SRV176.com. That's SRV1776.com. Please share this report to anyone who needs it.